There is abundance in a universe, and we all have the ability to tap into our deepest dreams. You can learn and grow at your own speed, and build a business based on your own needs. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Why do we wait until tomorrow when we could do it today? Step out of your comfort zone and take a leap of faith. You can learn and grow at your own speed, and build a business based on your own needs. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Bedrock bookkeepers rock it from their home. Bedrock bookkeepers make it on their own. Bedrock bookkeepers living in the zone. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family.
All right. Hello, entrepreneurs, Philippine and American accountants, and future agency owners. This is Joe DeChara, extraordinaire, coming to you live from downtown McKinney Hill. That's right, folks. I've moved again. I'm a nomad, and I'm hoping that I live in a really great place. I'm not gonna divulge that just in case somebody wants to stalk me or something. But tonight we have a very important topic. We have a very special guest, and we are in the second part of interview techniques. Now this is very, very important. It's not just about getting a position, getting a remote job, becoming a freelancer. It's also about landing clients and being personable and public speaking and just in a nutshell, communications. And one of my good friends, partner in crime. I know she likes that. Expert on landing clients, expert on doing interviews, and one of the top Philippine, actually number 17 in the top 100 Philippine LinkedIn influencers. It's my honor to introduce Coach Yan Marian Lebonette.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
evening, Marian. Yeah, we have a bunch of people that signed in. Uh,
Yeah.
Not surprising, a lot of them were at our uh, this weekend successful launch of the Jumpstart community. So I want to say hi to everybody and welcome, Marianne.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for that wonderful introduction as always. But yeah, I'm so excited after come back from the successful event. We're here for another session, which is something close to me and my favorite topic of all. I always told them this is the most important phase of the freelancing interview techniques. Yeah. So
Yes,
good
yes,
evening everyone.
absolutely.
Bedrock, yeah. Bedrock, Jumpstart community and accounting people and elite. Good evening.
Yes. So, last week I actually went through some of my own personal trials and tribulations. And we have Miss Catherine here. Hi, Catherine. Uh, she's supposed to be working, but I guess she took some time off to watch it. You already have a position, Catherine. I hope you're not trying to watch this so you can apply for another job. And we have Israel. Israel was one of the stars at the event. We have. I just want to pay homage to some of the people that are actually here. Christine Ramos, Randolph. How are you? Ellen, uh, Mary, Meryl Velick. I hope I didn't mince your name. Elsie. Uh, who else? Grace. But I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last names because it's hard for me. I'm an American. I'm still working on my Philippine accent. So anyway, Marianne, let's get into uh,
Mm,
so because okay, so just a little background. I've been teaching Philippine accountants and bookkeepers how to get into the U.S. accounting market for the last I don't know over 18 months. We've had over 700 students go through our courses. Not everybody finishes. Not everybody finishes. Uh, because what I found out is a lot of people actually get positions uh, while they're in the middle of the courses and they just run out of time, which is a good thing. Uh, but there's two issues because I poll my students and I asked them is if they're I asked them if they're applying for jobs, Marianne, and most of them, well, I don't even know if it's most of them, but a lot of them say no. And the two reasons are they don't have enough experience and they don't feel like their English is good enough. So we're going to talk about that. Uh, but the uh, the first question I have for you is what is how do people actually so I know there's like Upworks and Online Jobs PH where people, put out help wanted ads, right? What are some of the other ways that people could find positions?
when it comes position, sorry, can you hear me? Okay, all good.
Yeah.
So when I started freelancing and up to agency owner, I always told them that when you decided to become a freelancer, you also have to have a plan. What's your career path? So again, when I started, even again, I've always mentioned, even I'm an accounting manager in the Philippines. I started somewhere as a bookkeeper. Bookkeeper. Later on, I introduced myself as an accountant, and eventually, uh, I got bored because I'm doing the bookkeeping and accountant for so long. That's why I tell a story why I decided to become a tax preparer because I realized this is I think I'll give you an insight when I enter the freelancing, even in the Philippines, the most common problem of most of the business owner is the tax. Let's go to the deeper purpose or reason why a business owners put up a business. At the end of the day, let's face it, all over the world they have to comply with the government. That's the main problem of all business owners. You have to take note of that. That's why when I see the potentials of being a tax preparer, I thought to myself, why not try being a tax preparer? Because this is the ultimate or the most common problem of all business owners. So if I'll be a tax preparer and even an enroll agent, when we launch the enroll agent thing, this is something that really solve the problem of all business owners. You have to really be knowledgeable when it comes to tax on how you can help the client to reduce costs. Because reducing costs means profitability and scalability. So that's the key. That sometimes most of the freelance or any business owners who will talk to the client, they tend to really vouch their experience, their credentials, their certificate, but does you really solve the problem of any business owners? Did you know how to solve it? Did I answer the question correctly? Let me know.
Well, part of it. I'm
Yeah,
looking for out of the box. I'm saying, okay, I'm looking for a position.
mm-hmm,
Okay, either with an accounting firm, and when I talk about this, I'm talking specifically about the U.S. market. And
mm-hmm.
you brought something out. It's worldwide. It's a common problem, not just in the United States. There's a worldwide shortage of accountants. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, but just to answer your question, so I maybe I've lost. How do I get the position? Of course, you will get the position by learning and learn to learn. I always say this also, and learn to learn. So you have to really start somewhere to learn from the basic, from the operation of the business. What does the business looks like when it comes to their day-to-day transactions? And eventually, if you already know the in and outs of the business, that's the time you will get a position because the client will really see the value in you. Then maybe you will be promoted for somewhere position.
Okay, so you're saying, spend some time and learn about what. So you did hit a key point, and I think you said, what's the problem, right? You want to know what the problem is of the person that you're talking to. Would that be accurate?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Uh, and I always say, and this goes for everything, you have to be solving a problem. And one thing I learned, and I shared this last week, when people are interviewing you, whether it's for a position or to hire you as an accountant, they have a problem, right? They have a problem. Could you tell me what that problem is?
Again, the real problem is, of course, as a business owner, even you're a startup or you're already existing for 10 years, they really want to see the numbers, financial statement, how does the business goes. But then, again, I realize every business owners is really look into their fear. Every business owner has a fear. And what is that fear? That's why you have to really take advantage of that fear, which is the tax and the government of IRS or there's a PAR. So when this you mention the fear, you see the fear in them on how to solve those problems. You have already a client, and you just have to master really how to really communicate it in the way that the client will really feel the sincere help in you that you can solve his problem. So, but basically, again, we start with the process, how to go to filing tax. Of course, the first process is the bookkeeping. Bookkeeping needs a completeness of documentation, financial transaction from the bank statement, loan statement, credit card statement. If it is a personal tax, it's different question. If you have child, if you have a property you bought for the corporate, same. So those things, I think Bedrock already teach what is the commonly frequently asked questions if you really want the client to say yes to you, but it starts with asking question, not
Yeah,
selling your services, but proper right questions.
right. So there's really two prongs to this, the way I see it. There's the accounting firms that are looking for help, and I've been saying this for decades. Accounting firms cannot find, and I'm talking about U.S. accounting firms. It is almost impossible to find an accountant in the United States. Okay, my experience is that when an accountant, a U.S. accountant, gets experience, they don't even need to be a CPA. Once they get some tax experience, all they got to do is hang up a shingle, and they're in business. Okay, it's almost too easy, but it's supply and demand. So now you're one of the best that I ever met at landing a position with an accounting firm. So what's the secret sauce, Marianne? I I'm a CPA because I've hired you. I hired you, and a month later you resigned. But that's a whole nother story. How do you get? Because I mean, you're not a CPA. You don't have decades of experience as an accountant. I mean, your experience is you were in insurance. I mean, you have experience in real estate. Uh, so what's the secret, Marianne? How do you get a position?
Maybe let's say it from the experience when I enter in Bedrock. So when I enter in Bedrock, I really know for myself, I really want to get into that company. I don't know, for some reason, different grit or determination I want to be on Bedrock. Aside from that, because that's the part that I'm missing on my career, that I don't know how to do the tax preparation, which is something new to me. But I remember during the interview, I passed the three kinds of interview, from the HR, from Elizabeth, from you. But I remember answering some question just authentic. I'm not afraid to say that I don't know how to do the tax. This is my first time. Because some question there, what are you doing? What do you what is your like? What is your hobbies? And I always honest and transparent on that interview that yeah, I have a community. In fact, that community is I created is for learning. And if I don't know the question, maybe from the community I can ask question. So it means I didn't do anything just in case I will be hard. I'll be not doing it on my own. I have a community, so maybe that's the thing that stand out. Being just saying the real. Although of course, sorry guys, this is live, but of course there's a white lies that I have a client back then. But I only Bedrock will offer that time a training, and a really a good training, and I see the website, the values is there. So there's something that attracts to me to that company. That's why I applied.
Okay. So you hit on a couple of very important nuggets there. First, let me point out, and I stress this when I talk to our students. Uh, you know what really attracted us to you was the honesty, the transparency. When we asked you a question, you didn't try to fake it. You just said, "Listen, I took on an accounting client for, and I'm not even going to say what it was, but you took it for a very low rate because you wanted to get the experience." And then you told us about the Facebook group. You said, I have a Facebook group with 1,500 Philippine accountants because I want to help them get into the freelance community. So that impressed us. That impressed us. And I said, this is the kind of person that we want. Now, for me, I'm not necessarily looking for years of experience. We, and this is important, we talked about it this weekend in Jumpstart. We have core values, right, as an organization. We're looking for people that match those core values. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's why you got hired. So a lot of people, and that dispels the whole thing about, oh, I don't have enough experience. And we're going to cover that too, because everyone has experience. Everyone has experience. Uh, but the other point, and this is extremely, extremely important, you went to our website, right? And you looked at what we were all about. So another thing, you asked questions. You mentioned that before. You asked a lot of questions. And another thing that so we have our like red flags when we're interviewing people. Somebody doesn't ask us questions, they're not getting hired. So you asked a lot of questions. But more importantly, you asked questions. We knew that you had gone on our website. You put in, you did the footwork. Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
Yes, yes. I agree.
Okay.
That's why, yeah, I always also tell to the freelancer that create their portfolio on LinkedIn, because me myself, if I see Joe DiChara, the first thing that I'm going to do is Google the name of Joe DiChara, and it will go to the website, to the people. So at least beforehand, during the interview, you have something to talk about with the person, that the client knew that you really research and interested to know more about the company, not the position itself, but be on that company.
That is, what's the word? Priceless. That is priceless information. You know, one of the books, there's a couple of books I recommend that people read when they ask me how can I upskill my game. And How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie is one of them. It's timeless. It was one of the first books I was given by my first mentor. And basically, in a nutshell, it's about human relations and especially American entrepreneurs. They want you to be interested in them, right?
Yeah.
They want you to, and you know, so, and I don't remember the interview. I mean, I remember a few key points, uh, but you brought out, oh, I could I could search Joe DiChara, right? You
Yeah.
could find out things about, because it's not like when I went for a job 40 years ago. 40 years ago, there was no, you would have to hire a private investigator. You didn't have instant access to information on firms, on the people that are running the firms. You have a great advantage now, and people need to take advantage of that, right?
Yes. Agree. 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 So that's why, yeah, it's all tied up with. That's why I'm always also love to share LinkedIn profile, because as you can see, if you Google your name, LinkedIn will be the one will up on the Google, the search engine optimizations, and that's why you really have to optimize the LinkedIn, because the client will, if you applied in any position, the client will also check you on LinkedIn, and if you don't have LinkedIn, if you didn't establish your name or you don't optimize your account on the right position. So again, it already built trust when they saw you on LinkedIn, meaning you're professional, you're doing it right, you're there for a business, you're reliable. Yeah, so those things.
So yeah, so that's the other part of this. You know, it works both ways. So you could check us out, and I do. When I was, you know, I don't actually when what you mentioned before. You went through the HR process. You know, that makes me laugh. It's like it's like we're a bit, yeah, you interviewed with my executive assistant, and then I think you probably interviewed with Luz and her, and you got, so by the time you got to me, you already got the position, unless you like really flubbed it. So yeah, you went through a couple of different interviews. What we wanted to know first, what I'm going to let people in on our hiring techniques, which we actually learned from Larry Broughton, who was at the event. Larry has a business called Hire My VA, and he's the one that introduced me to the Philippine community. And he actually taught me how to conduct an interview. But before you even get to the interview, there's a process, right? So what we did was we put a help wanted ad on onlinejobs.ph. And what did we do, Marianne?
At the end of the job description, at the end of the word, put baseball if you read this job post. And I did baseball. That's it. And then I put my cover letter and my name.
Yeah, and we get even more specific now. We say put baseball in capital letters in the subject line. And what that did for us is it eliminated like over 50% of the people that were applying. Think about that, because we're hiring an accountant, right? You want to pay attention to details. So if they're not even paying attention to the job description, that's a problem. That's a problem. So for everybody that's listening, if you're going to apply for a job, actually look at what they're asking for, because you don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste their time. Let me put you in the position of somebody that's hiring, because I asked you, Marianne, like, what's their problem? An accounting firm has a different problem than a business owner. The business owners, and you talked about the fear, and fear drives us. It's human nature. The business owner, American business owner, their biggest fear is an IRS audit. We talked about this weekend with Larry's what do you call it, project, you know, the vision. Identify your avatar, right? What's their biggest problem? What's their biggest fear? For the US entrepreneur, they don't want the IRS to be sending them a letter, hey, come down and bring your books and records. For an accounting firm, their biggest fear is they're going to hire you, right? They're going to train you, and then you're going to leave. Does that make sense? It's a big, big investment when you hire somebody. It's not just what you're paying them, it's the time and effort. And then, you know, you're teaching them the craft, you're teaching them the business, and then to have them, you know, oh, thanks for the experience, Joe. I'm moving on. I'm taking what you just taught me, and I'm gonna make a bigger career out of it. So we don't want people that are gonna come and go. That's why we want people with integrity. We want people that are honest, right? And that has to come through in the interview. The other hoop that we make everybody jump through is you got to do a Loom video, right? And you're sort of an expert on the Loom video, because I think that's what got you on the LinkedIn top 100, correct?
Top content creator in 2020.
Yeah. So tell me about Loom, and because I believe, you know, even if, so we specifically asked for a Loom video, But wouldn't it be nice if everybody already had one?
Yes.
Let me introduce myself. I'm Joe DiChara. I'm really interested in working for a progressive CPA firm that's going to teach me. And so I could, blah, blah, blah. How do you, what's your approach on doing these videos? Because a lot of people, it took me years, literally years, to figure out how to do this. It's scary, right? It's public speaking. It's like, oh, I got to have, my hair has to be perfect. Yeah, that takes me some time. I got to have, everything's got to be perfect.
Yeah. So
What?
when started freelancing, that's also one of the things that I don't want to do. But the feeling that I realized there's something missing on my application. Why I knew for myself that I am qualified, but for some reason I didn't get the job. So every time there's an application, put a Loom video, and there's a lot of employer putting now Loom videos, and I said to myself, why not create one? So I tried, and of course, on my first Loom, it's not perfect. I always tell them I even wear a spaghetti strap on my first Loom video, and I didn't know that somebody can view it. And then later on, I revised the Loom, and I perfect it in a way. Oh, I also learned this from the YouTube video that I watch, because normally if they ask how tell me about yourself, so I teach that on how you will answer. Tell me about yourself. And before that, just let I just want to let you know that having a Loom video is already giving a value to the client. Why? You save their time on filtering applicants, because it takes guts to create a Loom video. It takes time, it takes preparation, it takes communication skills. It really takes time and guts to do it. So if you did the Loom video, it's something that you will really stand out because you took a lot of time and effort to do it. So what I did on my Loom videos is I crafted it and tell me about yourself in past, present, future, so that you will really be in yourself doing the pitch. Tell me about yourself, past experience, present, and then future. So just every time if you're already interviewed by the client, they always ask, "Oh, okay, I already finished with my company profile. So tell me about yourself." So at least the time when they ask, tell me about yourself, you're already confident and you are already natural because you already practice it through Loom videos. So that's why that's the top content, because at that time I also don't know that it will become on top, but I knew that is something valuable for especially for those newbies who really want to be noticed on job application. And most of the HR now really require the Loom videos. I'm very
Yes.
sure about that.
So I'm thinking, because this is really a deep, deep issue, and we're going to do a bunch more of these because it's important. Uh, I think one week we're going to do just how do you do a Loom video, right? Because you see my background, it might not be perfect, but I'm centered. I could probably do the lighting better. You have a virtual background. I've I interviewed somebody once. She actually had her clothes on a hanger, right? She had her unmade bed behind her. Her son was playing on a computer, on a laptop on the bed. Do you think I hired her? No. I couldn't wait to end the interview. But let's talk about, so tell me about yourself. I could, because when somebody says, so tell me about yourself, you know what that means, Marianne?
What? Interesting.
They don't want to be doing the interview, and they don't even know what to ask you. So when they, and I know that you have a whole, and maybe that's the next question, because I know that you have like a list of things that they're going to ask you, right? So tell me about yourself. So I could tell you, and you're reading the book, and I'm still waiting to get it back. Marianne borrows my books. She wants to know what I'm reading, and she borrows them. So the book that you're reading now is Start with Why, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So if you know your why, that's how you answer it. Okay.
Yes.
Before I tell you about yourself, let me tell you why I'm applying for this job. I always wanted to help people. And I got an accounting degree and I wondered how can I help people as an accountant? And then I realized this, and this. Yeah. So if you know what your why is, it makes and it's powerful. So what I heard from you when I interviewed you was you had a strong desire to help people, because when you were doing your Facebook group, it wasn't for money. You weren't charging anybody. You were giving people free advice, and I said, "Wow, that's pretty impressive," you know. And then, your honesty and all of that. So when somebody asks you, "Tell me about yourself," that's be prepared for that. Would you agree, Marianne?
Yeah.
How many of the so you've done, I don't know how many interviews, but
A lot.
how
But the
many times
first
do how many
two
times do
months,
they actually say, "So tell me about yourself"?
80%, I think. That's why I
Wow.
answered that to the Loom videos, and I told even to my mentees that you have to practice the tell me about yourself. But I realized tell me about yourself is not really a personal answer, because when I started, I'm sharing my personal, even my age, where do I live, how many siblings, my family. They're not interested on that. Remember that the application or job post, it's with the client, not you. I've realized that every time I put an interview, the the lead the lead character is not you. You should be, the limelight will be on the client. Just that's why you always ask question, because they're interested to share their business and aspiration as well. So you have to listen and ask question as much as possible. Then from that answer, you will craft a right proposal and solve their problem.
We're back to the
Yeah.
solving the problem thing, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the other questions that people should be prepared for?
And now I realize the client really know. If I ask the client, do you know what is your monthly gross sales or your annual sales? And sometimes they don't want to answer, but that questions is also answered on how you really price your services. Let's say $50,000 monthly. If you can put it in 0.02% of the 50,000, meaning that client is capable of paying you that much without assuming how much. It means they are capable to pay you. So it's aligned with also with the pricing, because somebody told me
Okay.
how much do I charge, like that.
Okay, hold on a second, because I want to go back to the question, but I do want to make something clear. We're really talking about two different uh, approaches here. One approach is interviewing with an accounting firm, right? And
Yeah.
another one is trying to land a client. Both of them are interviews. Both of them are interviews. So you're talking about right now is interviewing with a business owner, right? Trying to get his accounting business. So I never. That's pretty ingenious, because I never thought of that. So you're asking them what their gross revenue is, right? So in
Yes.
your mind, you know how much they can afford to pay you.
Yeah.
That's
It's
brilliant. That's brilliant.
yeah.
Uh, and also what you're doing, and this is how to win friends and influence people. you're getting them to start talking about themselves, right? So,
Yes.
and I could understand business owners, they might not be, oh, why is she asking me what my revenue is? Does she work for the BIR? Is she try? Does she want to audit us? Uh,
No, because there's
but it's a
another.
valid, it's a
Yeah,
valid question. It's a valid question. But now you gave a percentage. What did you say? 0.2%?
it's yeah 0.02. So just in case you have 50,000, so let's try to compute. Meaning they can afford $1,000 per month at least.
Okay, 2%. That
At
makes
least.
sense. That makes sense because a savvy business owner, and Larry talks about this all the time, they should know their numbers and they should know, hey, I should have this amount set aside for accounting fees, right?
Yes, and it
So,
is something a recurring expenses in every business owner. So as
good.
a business owner, you should a lot of money when it comes to accounting.
Yes. So, yeah, Israel, it's 2%. 2%. That was my. So you said 0.02, but it's the same thing. It's if you're making 100,000 a month, you should allocate 2,000 a month to accounting fees. I think it should be more like 5 or 10%. But
At
that's
least actually 10%. Actually 10, that
that,
you're right. It's actually 10%. That's why if you ask the client for the gross revenue, you should get that client because they can afford you. You know what I mean? So you really have to really make sure you will say yes to the client because they can.
that's a good point. So if they can't tell you, and I'll tell you right now, a lot of clients can't because they don't know their numbers.
That's
That
why.
that's the truth. So you're saying if they can't tell you or they don't know, they really need you, right? But if they do know, maybe you have somebody that's at a higher scale in the business experience,
So
right?
if they cannot answer, meaning they really need your services, that's why you emphasize. That's why I'm here. I will help you to compute your sales. Not only your sales, I'll give you some advice how you can grow your sales revenue. So you
But
should,
you also mentioned about they want to minimize their expenses, right?
yeah, minimize expenses through proper, in the tax, some deductible expenses. Maybe you didn't know that you can claim those insurances, some mileage. So you have to educate also the client that sometimes most of the clients doesn't know those things. So that's why you have a continuous learning for those things because
So,
that's valuable to them. You
so
educate them.
you
That's
yeah, so you could it sounds like you actually try to educate them during the interview process, correct?
yes, yeah, educate.
Let's let's go back to the accounting firms. Because when I started, and I shared this last week, I must. I went on countless interviews, and now doing an interview when I started, you weren't sitting in your house doing a Zoom video. I lived on Long Island, and if you look at a map, and my interviews, most of them were in New York City. That's an hour and a half, 2 hour commute each way. So think about this. How many interviews can I do in a day? Even if I'm in Manhattan, it's not like you could walk everywhere. So you're lucky if you could do 2 or 3 interviews in a day, and that takes up your whole day. Uh, anyway, I'm getting off the subject, but the what are the questions that the accounting firms, besides tell me about yourself, because that's, you said, 80% of the time. What other questions are they going to ask you?
Actually, I always told them if you don't have a solid foundation in accounting, if you're a newbie or you're non-accountant, don't apply on accounting firm. Why? Because some of the accountant firm are very technical in asking questions. They will ask you what's the entry if you buy a property. How do you record advance sales? How do you record? So my first accounting firm way back July 2021, it's a panel interview with four directors and asking me journal entries. So if meaning I passed that, meaning I am correct with my journal entry. So beware if you're a newbie, but sometimes they ask that to test if you're capable of, you know, the basic foundation of accounting, journal entries, debit, credit. The second would be, of course, yeah, you mentioned keen into details. That's so important. And less supervision. So how you will handle stress. What if you have a problem you can solve? What will you do? So what else? So that's the normal question that I receive from an accounting firm. And normally my question to the accounting firm, if they ask me, if you have do you have question? So I ask them, what is the urgent need right now that you need to solve? So now they will think, what is really my problem? What if, yeah, you're right. What's my urgent need?
That's,
So
I tell people that you're the best I've ever seen. I'm good. I got really good at landing jobs. I don't have a problem getting clients. Uh, but I could see, how you're. You should write a book about this. We'll have to
I
talk
will. I
about
will
that.
soon. Actually, I was thinking
Yeah.
about that because Larry and Cap Hernandez has a book. So I told myself, what book should I write? You
Really,
give,
really.
yeah,
Okay. So
ready go as a
but
ghosting.
this has been really good. But I want to stay on this. So what you do when you're talking, whether it's a CPA firm or a client, right? Can you say that again? What was the question? What's your
What is the urgent things that you need to solve right now while you're hiring a bookkeeper?
I'll tell you, because if you asked me that, and you might have asked Luz or whatever, I would stop and say, you know what? That's a great question. What is my urgent need? And I could tell you, for an accounting firm, the urgent need is always, uh, I need help. I need talent, right? And the good thing, see, what I talked about last week was, I was going on all these interviews, I wasn't getting any offers, and that's why I started saying, I'm going into Manhattan. You know how depressing that is? I'm spending 3 to 4 hours just getting to the interview and coming back, and you don't even get a call back. And I'm like, this isn't for me. I'm never going to be a CPA. Uh, it's disheartening, right? It's disheartening. Uh, did you go through that?
Yeah, because I applied now the book according to Larry, right, on rapid action. So it's answers that what is your priority. So you have to really unleash what's the urgent and not so urgent. Because if you focus on the urgent, you will automatically create a solution. So the time, again, it boils down with the time. It lessened the time of what's really the problem. So what's the urgent? And from the urgent we can solve right away by hiring me as your bookkeeper. I will help you. But for those not so urgent, at least we can park and we can look for another solutions. Oh yeah, just focus first on those urgent ones. So it's a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? So let's solve it.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So you're approaching this as, I'm the solution, right?
Yes.
I'm and that's what Vince taught me. Uh, I met with him, and this is another thing that Larry brought up this weekend. You got to have a mentor. You have to have a mentor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, somebody, a mentor, somebody that you respect, that you can go and just ask questions. Just say, hey, and Marianne, I know that you're always available. I'm always available to answer questions like this. So we're gonna, wrap up in a couple of minutes, and I'll give you a chance to let people know how to get in touch with you. But what Vince taught me, he says, listen, you're the solution. See, when I was going, and it always goes back to mindset, right, Marianne? I'm going there saying, oh my God, I need to get this job. I don't want to be traveling, because it costs money too. It costs a lot of money for somebody that has no job and no money. You're like, oh my, and this is back in the 80s. And I'm like, $20, that's a lot for an unemployed accountant that just got out of school. What he told me, and I'm like, I need this job. I got to have this job. What he told me changed everything. He told me, listen, that guy that's interviewing you has a problem. You keep talking about what's the problem. And I said, he has a problem. What's the problem? He's like, you think he wants to be spending his time interviewing people? He's interviewing you because he needs help. You're the solution, right? You're the solution. And what happened was my whole mindset changed. My whole approach. It wasn't, hey, I need this job and I'm tired of commuting. It was, listen, I'm your solution. I'm the guy. I remember there was one interview where I pounded the desk. I said, I'm the guy that's going to solve your problems here. Right? So you got to go into the interview with, listen, I'm the solution. Correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So, okay, last question. And then we're gonna do a bunch more of these, and then you could use it as the basis for your book. Maybe we should co-author it. But now it's the end of the interview, right? And they say, do you have any questions besides you've already gone through what's the urgency, what other questions can you ask?
So good question. This is now how I pitch the closing remarks. So how do you want us to proceed on this conversation? Because I really want an answer. Or what's the next step after hearing all this? So then the client will answer. So yeah, how will start this work? So I give the 3 requirements, right? Remember the 3 requirements. So just in case you will hire me as your bookkeeper or a bookkeeping partner agency, all you have to do, if you're a freelance bookkeeper, I need your access, bank statement, and Google Drive. And from there, I'll check, I'll audit, and then let's have a meeting this week to give you feedback what's inside your books. Meaning the client needs someone who will really give them a method on how to go from point A to point B, because they don't know how to proceed actually. So they need someone who can really guide them on how to do their books.
Okay, I love this. And this is how you land so many clients. What you're doing, and this is what American entrepreneurs need. They need guidance, because the truth is they have absolutely no idea what they're supposed to do, which is the second biggest fear that American entrepreneurs have. Number one is they don't want to get audited. And number two is they're afraid that they're missing something. What am I supposed to do? Tell me. So what you do is you make it easy for them. Listen, if you want to hire me, now correct me if I'm wrong, but if you want to hire me, all you have to do, so write it in their brain, they're like, oh, this is all I have to do. You're giving them specific instructions. Give me access to your QuickBooks file. Give me access to your information, right? I think there were 3 things.
Yes.
And what else?
And then now, of course, there's a bedrock already. The added question that I'm asking. So if they need a cleanup and catch up, where was the last time you filed your tax? Can I have your 2 years tax return? So, and then they said, wow. So, meaning, because the reason why they do have a cleanup and catch up, they didn't file their tax. So, the
Yeah.
reason why I need this tax return is to really ensure you're really on your books and right, and I'll guide you on how to do it right. So, I have to see your book. So, that's it.
Excellent. Now, what about an accounting firm? Do you have a different
Accounting
set?
firms, same, but mostly the process of hiring. So after I get on board, do I have an access? Do I have a training after this? Who will be the one who train me, or I'll be the one alone to do this? Just in case I'm alone, I have a workflow. I can share it with you. Just let me know. But for sure, they didn't know the checklist, the workflow, the monthly checklist of the bookkeeping. They don't have that. That's why sometimes if you said that you have a checklist or a workflow in place, that's also a plus point, because meaning they don't need to train you anymore. You know what to do. Less supervision.
That's a good point because you're showing them, listen, if you don't have this, I'll help you put it together.
Yes.
But, whenever I interview people and I say, do you have any questions? First, if they don't have any questions, they're not getting an offer. But, the ones that you ask, is there training? Who's going to be working with me?
How often
This,
we will meet each other, because it's a managed expectation of your time. So I know you're busy.
I have one week we were doing a course because I ask my students questions. I want to know what they're going through, and one of them actually had a funny story. She was a VA for an accounting firm, virtual assistant, and she was taking our course, and they found out that, oh, you're taking an accounting course, and she said yes. And they were like, okay, you're an accountant now. So they took her from a virtual assistant doing like secretary work to now she's doing accounting. That shows you how hard it is to find people. They figured it's easy for us to get a virtual assistant, but we can't find somebody that knows accounting. So here's the thing. And this is what happens to a lot of people. A lot of people. They gave her 30 files, right? Here's 30 clients to work on. Don't bother me. And she was like, I'm frustrated because they give us no direction, no training. And it was like, you're going to get great experience there because I was put in that position. I was put in that position. So so when you're and this really comes down to intentionality, Marianne. You got to decide right before you start looking for a position. What exactly am I looking for? What kind of firm do I want to? Do I want to work for a single practitioner? Do I want to work for a big firm? Do I want to work with somebody like Bedrock that has core values? Or do I want to work with somebody that's sloppy and I don't even know if he's going to show up to work?
It's 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
I
that's
just got
good.
it's 8
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yeah, no, that's correct, because that's also your clue of getting the right client. Even you're the applicant, you can still have a choice if it is really your ideal client by asking those questions. So again, there's avoid, of course, wasting of your time onboarding, and then later on you don't want to work with them. At least
Yeah.
on that interview, you can feel right then and then if you really want to be part of their team.
Right. So listen, I could go on for hours. What we're going to do is we're going to set up a series of these interviews because we can do some deep dives into things like Loom videos. How do you find positions besides just going on the job boards? there's a lot that we can help people with, and that's what this is all designed for. So how do people? We didn't, all of our students. What I do? I'm going to do a pitch for you here. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So that little group that Marianne had when we started, it's called Accounting People. So if you could put a link in the chat for everybody. Uh, so Accounting Peoples, you're closing in on 20K now, right?
Yeah.
So
Hopefully
from
this.
this week, yeah. So from 1,500 to coming in and on 20,000, not many groups, and it's not even the numbers because I've seen groups with 80,000 members, but it was like all over the place. And with 80,000 members, they had maybe 100 that were actually active. Uh, and you created, so I like joining is free, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. But now you have a coaching program. You call it Elite, correct?
Yes.
And I tell my students, listen, you need to sign up for Marianne's Elite program uh, because, and I'm going to let you finish that sentence.
Thank you for vouching indeed. Yeah, but before we leave, can I give you the three most valuable things that you should know about how you can really win a US client? Can I give you a really a value bombs before I leave? Because I know
Yes, of
there's a
course. But I do want people to know what you offer in the Elite program. I think,
yeah. Thank you so much.
yeah. Okay, go ahead. What's the three? What is this now? The
Yeah.
three?
So the three most valuable things that you should know, the most pain points of the most, not actually all over the world, but let's try first the US. You should know the tax reduction and tax efficient wealth. Yeah, you should really learn that. The second one will be the compliance, the peace of mind that you can give to any business owner, risk mitigation, and IRS protection. Tell me, Joe, if it is correct, right? That's the fear of most business owners. So you really have to emphasize. And of course, the value productivity, efficiency, and lean operation. So that's the three most valuable thing that you can give to any business owners.
Yes, I totally agree. But I want to do a deep dive into that in future sessions because
Yes.
what I want to do is dispel any of the preconceived beliefs of things like I need to have X amount of You make a great point because I do remember being asked technical questions by a CPA firm that I couldn't answer. Uh, but not knowing, and we're going to go into my take on this, not having all the technical specific tax and accounting knowledge shouldn't stop you from applying it.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. If you're going to go for a big firm doing taxes, they want somebody that's going to know something about taxes. But you don't need that just to get into the accounting world. We'll cover that again. But let's get back to the Elite program that you have.
Yeah, so the elite actually the reason why there's an elite, just to give you a trivia, Joe is the one and Tatay George is the one behind why I created an elite because that time I was doing the community for free for almost 1 year. And that time Joe told me you have so much value in you that you should teach to other people but should be paid. So back then, I created a 2 days, I think October 7th, and I released the first coaching session October 9 for 1 month. And I just only bring four phases that I think that works for me for being a freelancer for 1 year. That's why how to win, how to get hired, phase one, phase two, how to win interview, which is something I shared to you. Number three is phase three, workflow and onboarding. And the most important, of course, is the marketing, because as you go along, you really have to master on client acquisition, because this is the hardest part. To have the sustainable business, you should know how to really market yourself and make it sustainable. So that's the program of Elite. And a continuous learning, of course, the vision of that is to have a top caliber bookkeeper and accountant globally, but with the support of the community, the coaching community, and collaboration, everything is possible and everything will be easy if you have the kind of community.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the price for this is what?
Actually, 6,000. Although sometimes we do have a promo, because I've realized some of the members are newbies, and the objections or and the problem, they really want to enroll, but sometimes they have also have doesn't have enough funds to really enroll, but they want. So sometimes we do have some promo, 50% off, but the actual price is 6,000 pesos per session, 90 days coaching, but you can stay in the community for 1 year.
Yeah, definitely worth the money. I know what you're saying about, a lot of people don't have the funds, but where there's a will, there's a way. That's what I believe. Don't let the lack of money stop you. That's the point. If you don't have the money, you can join the community for free, see what's going on. And here's the thing, if you keep your ears and eyes open and listen and apply some of the things that Marianne suggested today, eventually you'll have the money. Eventually, because if you use the tips, you'll get a position. Then you'll say, okay, now I have the money to join the Elite. Marianne, next week, if you're available, what I'd like to do, because people keep talking about optimizing my LinkedIn profile, optimize. I'm like, okay, what exactly does that mean? I would like to do a deep dive into that. And then if we have time,
aside from, of course, having a good photo, the banner, you really have
we don't have time tonight.
Okay,
I know
next week. Okay. Okay.
We went through so much tonight. I really thank you. I want to thank
you.
I think we have a record for participants and hearts. So you must have been given
40 plus.
Yeah, 40 plus. I usually get, if it's just me, I usually get 1 or 2 if I'm lucky. So
Seriously?
They're coming to see you.
It's a record breaking.
So I want to thank everyone for joining live. I hope that you got something out of it. I know I did. And I just want to say thank you, Marianne. God bless you. God bless all of you. Good luck on your journey. And for those of you that were with us this weekend for Saturday and Sunday, I want to give you a special thanks. It was an amazing 2 days, and I'm still reeling from it. So, all right, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. God bless and good night. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Good night, everyone.